One of the single most important factors, critical factors to living a long, healthy life is the health of your relationships. That's what Dan Buettner found when he was studying the blue zones. These are areas of the world where people live on average much longer, right? 9 hotspots where people have more centennials than any other spots in the world. And that's what we're all going for, right? We want to live long, fulfilled, happy lives. So how do you have healthy relationships? Well, it starts with communication, right? And what I'm going to show you today is how to build the habits of effective communication so that you can have healthy relationships, create healthy relationships. I just got done taking this NVC class with Dr. Cindy Bigbie, and it's absolutely changed how I view communication. Now I'm not as scared and avoidant of having these difficult conversations, and I feel like I'm capable of having conversations or going to someone when I need to get steam off and be heard. I'm capable of communicating to them, my needs and how they can help me feel better after that call. And same if someone comes to me. So we're gonna go over that in the next 2 days. Before we go over that, let's go over miscommunication, what we want to avoid. So that we can get to what we want to achieve, we want to know first what we want to avoid and the effects it has. So let's go over some examples. First, aimed at you. When you were a kid, I'm sure your parents came to you and they're like, clean your room, or at least they did to me all the time, right? Ryan, clean your room. I want you to clean your room today. Now, I want you to think for a second how you felt when that happened. Did you feel closer to your parents? Or to whoever was telling you that? Or did you feel a little more disconnected? Maybe you did it out of fear, right? Did you feel closer to them? Also, maybe you go and you have a request for someone, right? And they don't agree with you. It ends up in an argument, and maybe it's a significant other, right? At the end of that, did you feel closer or further from them? So, miscommunications, I'm going to say, are disconnections. These can give you all sorts of emotions, but, some of them can be anger. Some of them can be guilt. They can be shame. They can be fear. They can be loneliness, right? Maybe you got into it with your significant other, and then you're going to bed alone. We don't want any of these, right? I want to live a connected life where I feel seen, feel connected, I feel heard, and I feel valued. And that is exactly what connection is. It's the flow and ease that occurs within and between people when they feel seen, heard, and valued without judgment. I like to add safe in there because whenever I feel connected to someone, I feel safe. So I like to add that in there. All right, and that's what we're going for. We're going for connection. So how do we get connection? We get it through effective communication. And that's what we're going to learn in this 2-part video series, right? How do we habitualize effective communication to create healthy relationships, which thus then leads to a healthy, long, fulfilled life. Okay, so today we're going to go over, in my opinion, the 2 easiest scenarios. When you want someone to hear you and when someone's coming to you to talk to you. So when you're going to talk to someone and when someone's coming to you to talk to you. And tomorrow we'll get in the most difficult use case, and that's with disagreements and requests. When you're going to approach that person and it's going to be a difficult conversation, you're not sure how it's going to happen. And then also tomorrow we're going to go over like the common pitfalls, a lot of common mistakes, traps to avoid in these types of conversations to make your communication that much better. Okay. So the 2 scenarios, let's go over the first one. We're going to start off with the easiest one. This is when you've had a rough day or you just want to go to someone, you want to feel heard. So what we're looking for here is getting empathy. So what empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. That's all we're looking for here in this exchange, for understanding and sharing of feelings. So how do we do that? Well, first off, what I want you to do is I want you to think about the situation, and I want you to take a look at this feelings and this need sheet, right? We're going to put it up here, as well as I'll put a link down below. And as you go through it, I want you to go over what you're feeling and what your needs are in this situation. And once you have that, once you have those, you're ready to go to the person. So then when you go to the person, you say, hey, look, all I want you to do, if you don't mind, would you just listen to what I'm saying? And then at the end, or if it gets to a point where you think, that you're having trouble following me, right? Because there's so much I've said, you can always say, hey, interrupt me. Do you mind if I recount now? But what I want you to do is I want you to listen, if you don't mind, and then, please just reiterate back to me what you heard, and then just take guesses from the sheet. What feelings do you hear me saying, and what needs do you hear me putting out? Maybe implying or implicitly or explicitly, right? Am I mourning a need, right? Am I mourning a need that I'm not getting, or am I celebrating a need that I'm getting, all right? And if they happen to give you, start giving you advice or relating, right? What we call other conversational responses, which we'll go over in the next video, I want you to just ask them to just simply right now, just take guesses on feelings and needs. Just take guesses on feelings and needs, and later they can give that to you if you want. And you're like, okay, but Ryan, I want advice. All right, that's fine. A lot of times I want advice too. But the thing with this approach is when someone just straight up gives you advice, you don't even know if they know what you want, or if they know your needs, right? Or if they know your feelings, right? A lot of times we get in conversations, we just start listening to somebody and we're starting to think, all right, how can I help this person? So you kind of stop listening to them and you start thinking of stuff that you can bring value to it. That's not what you want. So this approach, even before they get advice, when they recount it back to you and put in your feelings and give need guesses, and you let them know, yeah, that's it, or that's not it, right? Or yeah, that's, yeah, 100%, you got it. You completely understand where I'm coming from. Then you know that they know what you're saying, right? And what your needs and what your feelings are. And then the advice they can get, is accurate, right? You know that they're on the same page as you. And you'll see, sometimes they'll just guess a need that you haven't said, or you may not even realize that you need it. And when someone says it back to you, it'll just click. You're like, dang, that's it. And you might not have even realized it, right? And there's this little spark of connection, and you can just feel it. You can sense it with the other person. All right, so that's setting you up, and of course, be thankful and everything. And just try this out. Try this approach out. Do you feel better about it? Does it feel better knowing that the other person is, sharing and understands, these feelings, these experiences that you have? Just try it out. Let me know in the comments how it goes, and let me know in the comments if any of that you want me to go more in depth in. All right, so scenario number 2 is giving empathy to someone, right? Someone comes to you and they're like, Ryan, I need you, I need to vent. I need to get this off my chest, right? So how do we do that? Well, first we want to give them what we call empathetic listening. So what is empathetic listening? It has 3 components. The first one is presence. Second one is meaning/understanding. And the third ones are needs. So presence. Just be 100% present with them as they're talking, right? You can tell if someone's present with you or not, right? You can tell if their energy's on you. Even if you're looking at someone, they can always tell, right? You can tell if someone's mind's off somewhere else, right? And to make that even, to eliminate distractions is important here, right? Turn off the TV, turn off notifications on your phone, right? Be 100% present with them, and try to make eye contact if you can, right? Focus on them. Bill Clinton was famous for this in 1992. He killed it on the campaign trail. And I remember people saying, even opponents of his, there was once I met him, it was just hard not to like the guy. And then Tuesdays with Morrie, the beloved professor that came down with, I think it was ALS, Lou Gehrig's, and students would come meet him, as he was unfortunately on his path to passing away, and they would talk with him, and they're like, the great thing about Morrie was that when you talked to him, it felt like he was the only person in the room. And now I don't want to put these stakes so high, right? That you have to make it like that. But all I'm saying is give them eye contact, be present with them, all right? And that leads us into number 2. Try to understand where they're coming from. Now, understanding is not agreeing, right? You may not agree with them, but understand what they're saying, where they're coming from. Try to understand everything that they're putting out there. And then number 3 is be attentive to their needs. Hear what they say and the ones they imply, right? Think about it in terms of needs. What are they getting fulfilled? What are they not getting fulfilled? Okay, and as you're doing that empathetic listening, they're talking to you, right? wait till they finish. Or just like we said before, if, it's getting to a point where you're having trouble following, there's a lot going on in your head, feel free to stop and say, hey, I just want to make sure, I'm 100% hearing you right. Would you mind if I just recounted what I've heard so far? And if they say, no, I really want to, get all this out there, that's fine. Let them get it all out there. And if they say, oh, that's fine, then go ahead and go forward. Or wait till the end. And what you're going to do is just like you asked the person to do when you're receiving empathy, is you're going to paraphrase, you're going to reiterate back to them what you heard and what feelings you heard, and then try to take feelings or need guesses. So, I heard that when you thought thought I was going to be there at 7 and I wasn't there till 7:30, that it made you sad. It made you lonely, and it made you frustrated. And I heard you say that you wouldn't do this to me, right? So is there a need there for some reciprocity, for me to show you some reciprocity and show you, act to you the same way you would to me? No, that's not really it. Okay. Do you mind, going further into that? Or yeah, that's it. Like, I just want you to treat me as I treat you, or as I want to feel like you treat me as I treat you, right? So you can see how this moves. This is like a dance, right? So sometimes you're right, sometimes you're not right, but the person will appreciate that you're giving them the attention and that you're taking these chances, right? And they will feel more and more heard. And then, of course, as you said, as we talked about in the last scenario, if you want to give advice or you want to relate, that's fine. They may want that, but make sure you ask, right? And try to make sure, and just take test this approach out and see, if this makes it, if you feel even better about giving advice because you're more in tune with what they need. But always ask, because they can always say no, right? This is what we call a request, and that's what we're going to go over tomorrow. So today we went over the two, went over receiving empathy and giving empathy. Tomorrow we're going to go more difficult conversations, right? Conversations that we don't want to have, where there's some sort of disagreement or conflict or someone was hurt, right? How do we approach those and make it so that those conversations bring us even closer together? And then, of course, we're going to go over the pitfalls, tips and tricks when in this type of communication, so that you can succeed, right? So that you can go in like warp speed, get more successful at this in a shorter amount of time. Okay, we can get over those speed humps. All right, so if you'd like me to go into anything deeper, feel free to comment here in the comments, and then I will see you in the next video, which I'll put right here. Thank you, guys.